think for Zion, he's used to carrying that weight on his shoulders. It's nothing new for Zion. He's been having pressure on him for the last couple of years. I think for Ja Morant, it's the first time that we get a chance, the nation gets a chance to see him. Inside basketball circles, you know about Ja Morant. If you follow college basketball or if you follow the NBA draft, those kind of intricate fans understand that he's going to be a top 3 NBA draft pick. But there's only 2 people I've ever seen dunk over somebody. When I mean dunk over somebody, literally hurdle them. And that's Vince Carter, and Ja Morant, right? Yeah. You're already in that conversation. That's insane to me. So I think the world will get a chance to see him firsthand. It doesn't mean they're going to win a lot of games, but I mean Ja Morant is a special type of talent.
For a lot of this year, Ja Morant was the only guy outside of Duke who was seen as a top 4 pick.
Mm-hmm. Jay, I'm going to go with Ja Morant with what you just said, and I'm going to ask you, I'm going to throw a twist into this question because I couldn't wait to ask you this. You know, Max, you too, we talked a lot about Zion Williamson this year. We also talked about R.J. Barrett. Now I've been watching R.J., and there have been listen, man, I'm looking at him. This is people look at him and suddenly question what kind of pro he would be. Once at the beginning of the season, it was Zion Williamson. Yes, the freak of nature, the athletic phenom that he is. But you were wondering or looking for limitations. Those questions have been answered. I think as the season has progressed, even though we saw R.J. Barrett step up and deliver the goods, particularly against Syracuse during the regular season, I was at that game when he dropped 30 on them. He's had some big games. But I'm just talking about dissecting and analyzing his game. There seems to be more questions about him now than it was at the beginning of the season. What do you have to say about that, Jay?
If I had the NBA draft today, I would have Zion Williamson number 1, I would have Ja Morant number 2, and then I would have R.J. Barrett number 3. It's been fascinating for me to watch R.J. Barrett over the last couple games. Now, look, he's a baller. By the way, we're parsing things right now. We're talking about the difference between being number 2 and being number 3, but it's our job to break down guys. He's a scorer. He's not a shooter, okay? So you don't see him be as comfortable with his shot. Now, he finishes through traffic extremely well. But Kenny Williams was locking that up, I say, multiple times. During the ACC, you saw them in the finale when they played at Carolina, and then you saw that in the game in the ACC tournament. Yeah. I think it's difficult for RJ when he can't go left. When he has to go right, he has to bring the ball back to his left hand, and he's been known to try to overbully you and try to beat you to the basket. And as we all know, you get to that next level. If you can't create those little ounces of separation to get your shot off or find different ways to finish, he doesn't have elite athleticism.
But then why would he be number 3? Why would he be number 3 over that, Jay?
Because it's a weak draft. Who else are you taking, S.A.?
Okay, well, that's what I'm asking. It's not a strong draft. So in other words, you're telling me he's number 3 overall behind Zion and Ja Morant because it's a weak draft as opposed to him. Remember, at the beginning of the season, we were like, yo, this might be the best player on Duke.
Jay,
he might be on that level.
Jay,
is that what he's saying?
I'm saying both factors into that, yes.
Jay, how much of it is, though, that you go number 3 because, and we saw this with Lonzo Ball, we saw it with D'Angelo Russell, because there's an acknowledgement, one and dones, things like developing your offhand and developing a shot can happen, right? The fear is that you get to the next level and you're asked to do so much and there's so much scrutiny on you that you never get to develop it. Then your confidence is shot. We've seen that very recently, right, with Markelle Fultz, and you never develop. But going to the right place where they understand it may take some time. This is not a junior or a senior. This kid had 1 year of college. D'Angelo Russell made the All-Star team this year.
Yep. You know what, Max? You make a great point. Look, I went to the Bulls, okay? We played a damn triangle. S.A., you know how I feel about the triangle, right? I ran PNRs in college all day long. It's a different system that I had to play. I had to learn how to play. I barely had the ball in my hands. I think if R.J. Barrett has the ball in his hands with the right team, he can be a special player. The NBA is all about open floor. How can you create in the open floor? I still think, look, this is not saying that R.J. Barrett isn't going to be a special type of talent. He has the ability to be a crazy talent. It's just saying there's still parts of his game that you need to work on, but we can find loopholes in everybody's game. Like, you haven't seen Zion Williamson take a mid-range shot or knock down the three-point shot. Or I heard you talk about his free throw shooting. So we could break down everybody's game to a
what do you
certain degree.
look real quick? What do you look for to see the difference between, say, an Andrew Wiggins, who still hasn't developed the skills, is still basically just an athlete out there, and another player who may develop the skills?
No, Max, because look, I always keep it real with you guys. You guys know that. The one thing I always worried about Andrew Wiggins, could he be a guy that drops 30 on you? Yeah, he could be. I always worried about that with him.
That's right.
I always worried about that with him.
That's been the knock.
Why? That's what I'm asking.
Because my thing is, I have a tendency, once again, to like players that were like me. We all think that way. And I think if you're going to be considered to be a top 5 pick, like, I want to see you have dog in you. I don't want to see you take possessions off. I want to see you come at somebody's throat. I want to see when you have 30, if there's 10 minutes left in the game, I might just coast. I want to have
that, yes or no?
Barrett has that, yes.
Hold on,
RJ Barrett has that.
Jay, first of all, Max, to answer the question directly, that's one of the reasons that Jimmy Butler wanted out of Minnesota. He doesn't like Andrew Wiggins. Didn't feel he had the heart.
He gave Wiggins his money.
Well, that's not just that. He didn't feel that Andrew Wiggins wanted it. Right. That's been the knock against Andrew Wiggins from the time he came into the NBA. He scored 31 night, 10 the next, and he doesn't care. That's what they say about him. I don't know him, but that's what they say about him. As it pertains to RJ Barrett, my question, I'll go back to you with this, Jay. You know the NBA game just as well as you know the collegiate game. If you're not ambidextrous, if everybody knows you're going left, even though we see a guy, for example, who doesn't, his game doesn't even, it's a totally different game. But when we watch Julius Randle, even though he's putting up good numbers, we saw Luke Walton on TV saying he's going left, okay? It's coming back to the left hand no matter what. I believe that with a guy that's a guard, that's more detrimental. Are you concerned about that with RJ Barrett?
The only reason I would say I'm not as concerned, S.A., is I got a chance to watch him work out with Drew Hanlon in L.A. when he was going against Jason Tatum and Joel Embiid, and he put in work. He put in work. And here's what I will say about college, which is different than the league. You can have 3 dudes sitting in the paint. Now, I'm not saying that, look, he hasn't struggled a tad, even though the numbers have been insane for him. But when you don't have Zion Williamson and you have a guy like Cam Reddish who is somewhat streaky, okay? Like Cam Reddish sometimes can show up, other times you won't know he's on the floor. It allows you to focus all of your attention and effort on RJ Barrett. When you have 3 guys that pack in the lane, that makes it incredibly difficult to score because that's where RJ Barrett gets his bread and butter from. But when he's in an open system, if he plays with other talent and you're able to run with that kind of spread offense, I still think RJ Barrett can be extremely effective.
I know we got to go. All I want to say is this. I want to close by saying this. I've lost a lot of faith in Cam Reddish. I know he's a future pro. I got a lot of love for his game. The level of inconsistency on the part of Cam Reddish, who has great height and can really shoot it, but has been so inconsistent. I am shocked at how unreliable Cam Reddish has been. And he's won a couple of games.
Let me say one thing. Let me say one thing. Like, look, I'm a fan of the game, right? There are certain times that you get frustrated watching Cam Reddish play. I understand that. Here's my thing, though, man. When you're on the floor with Zion Williamson, he's priority number 1 to touch the ball, correct? Do we all agree?
Yeah,
of course.
All right, RJ Barrett, probably priority number 2. So Cam Reddish is not getting the shots that he would normally get if he were the guy.
Hold on, Jay.
If he were the guy on the team without those guys. I'm just saying.
I'm talking about what I saw in the 5 or 6 games without Zion.
Here's the question, Stephen A. Do you think, whatever you think of his level, is Kyle Kuzma an effective NBA player?
Yeah.
Okay. Go look at Kyle Kuzma as a freshman. You would never say he's going to wind up. These dudes are the one-and-dones with the kind of things you're talking about with Cam Reddish. I understand if you say he doesn't have enough dog in him, that's a personality thing. But in terms of a guy's game, if you're looking at a kid who's a freshman, it's hard to project out that, like, what's he going to look like in 3 or 4 years?
Let me be very, very clear. I think Cam Reddish has the potential to be a superstar.
Right.
Agreed.
Not just collegiately, but on the next level.
Should he stay in college?
So what I'm saying to you is I've been disappointed at the inconsistency. So go get the money. But if we're just talking basketball, because of what I saw this year, I would like to see him stay another year.
Need some more
without Zion.
Let me say one last thing, though, because we're seeing it on the NBA level, and I think we're going to start to see it a lot more on the collegiate level. These super teams are about to happen, man. They're about to happen. You hear guys like Precious and Cole Anthony potentially going to North Carolina. And what happens when you have a super team, you don't need to do everything all the time. You can do it here and there.
I'm just asking him to make a shot, Jay. I'm just asking him to make a shot.
Well, we
like
still
Jay
got the
Williams used
tournament.
to do. Like Jay Williams used to do.
I have a
Make
rhythm
shot.
to make the shot sometimes.
That's all I ask.
I got you, Molly. I hear your cue, Molly. I hear you.
Thank you, Jay. Thank you for listening. Appreciate you. Have fun in Bristol. And everyone at home, go to ESPN.com. Fill out your bracket. A lot more to come, guys. The Sixers won a high-scoring affair against the Bucks, despite Giannis dropping, 52? So have Milwaukee's chances to win the East dwindled? We'll debate it. Stephen A., what you got for me?
A lot more to come up on First Take. Clyde Frazier rips into LeBron James last night, and I have a lot to say about that. Plus, the new-look Cleveland Browns are favorites to win the division. But should we pump the brakes? And we'll debate whether anybody can neutralize Zion Williamson. All that and more coming up. First Take in the house. It's Monday, y'all. Just getting started.
Is it true Cricket has iPhone XR?
With the amazing liquid retina display.
Is it true that you wear a wig?
Could a wig do this?